fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to another episode of Sean's Movie Crusades. My name's Sean Wasserkrug, and today we're going to be reviewing one of my favorite action comedy zombie films sequel, Zombieland, Double Tapped. Now, it's been 10 years since the first Zombieland, and I loved the first film. I thought the combination of Woody Harrelson, Emma Stone, Abigail Breslin, and Jesse Eisenberg worked beautifully. I loved the world that they had created in Zombieland with the rules, and easily one of the best opening credits in a film in, like, forever. I just loved so much about it. I loved how the zombies were fast in this one, and how they enjoyed killing zombies in this, where it was more that they weren't running from fear of being bitten, but more going towards it and just living life the way it was supposed to be. I loved the back and forth. I loved the chemistry of the group. It was one of my favorite films of 2009 when it came out. So when they announced the sequel, I got really, really excited. But like most comedies that takes place 10 years after the original film, they tend to not work very well, such as Zoolander 2, Super Troopers 2, Anchorman 2, among others that I can't think of off the top of the head. Dumb and Dumber 2, that's another one. It's not that they're bad, it's just that the comedy just doesn't quite work nearly as well as it did in the original. So with Zombieland Double Tap, that was a main worry going into this, is will the movie be as strong as the original, or is it going to run the same kind of rhythm that we've been seeing with a lot of comedies coming back for very late sequels? Is just, it's fine, but it wasn't that great, or it was bad. So yeah, let's jump into the review and see if Zombieland breaks the mold and does something that the other comedies haven't done, or follows the same track that everyone else is on. So the plot of Zombieland Double Tap actually takes place 10 years since the first film, so it actually stays in line with the current time frame. All four, Tallahassee, Wichita, Little Rock, and Columbus, are all still together and are now living in the White House. A great opening beginning. It shows them basically on the raid to the White House, kind of doing a little bit of what we saw in the first film in terms of the opening credits, but it's just more of them just kind of going gun frenzy on the zombies. But a very, very cool sequence. We also learn that there are now different kinds of zombies. We learned that there are 4 different kinds of zombies throughout the film. There's a Homer, which is basically supposed to be like a Homer Simpson joke, where they're zombies that are just too damn dumb to be able to be a threat. Then there's the Hawkins, which is supposed to be after Stephen Hawking, who's the zombies that are smarter than others, are clever in trying to get to their prey. There's the Ninja, which are the ones that are very quiet on their attacks and very swift, and are probably one of the most deadliest ones. And then the new ones that they found out in the film, the T-8000s, obviously being a callback to Terminator, where they're zombies that just don't die very easily. You pretty much have to unload everything you got into it in order to stop it. A simple headshot just won't do with these ones for the most part. And that's kind of where we're at. Like I said, we're 10 years ahead, and Abigail Breslin's character, Little Rock, she's obviously a woman now, and she has needs. Like, she wants a boyfriend. She wants what every female of her age would want to do. I mean, she's 21 now, I believe, and she wants to find someone to love. She wants to get married, start a family, stuff like that. And she's a little tired of Tallahassee, played by Woody Harrelson, kind of being this overbearing father figure to her. And so she's just kind of ready to move on. And then, of course, with Columbus and Wichita, they're still together, but they're kind of in a rut. So they're just kind of going through the motions of the relationship until one day, basically, Wichita and Little Rock decide to leave without telling Tallahassee and Columbus. And then while they're doing that, Little Rock meets a basically a hippie named Berkeley, and in the process of that, dump Wichita. So Wichita goes back to Tallahassee and Columbus to go and try to find Little Rock to make sure that she's safe, and then along that time they meet Madison, played by Zoe Deutsch, and it's all basically the main plot is them trying to find Little Rock and bring Little Rock home, or try to find a new home in a sense. But that is basically the plot of Zombieland Double Tap. What works with Zombieland Double Tap? A lot of it's the same stuff that worked in the first film. The chemistry of the group is still there, and it still works very, very well. The humor is great. It's a very funny film. It's probably one of the funnier films of the year. The zombie kills are still fantastic. It's still really gory. It's still enjoyable to watch. And the new additions to the cast with Zoe Deutsch as Madison is great. I love Zoe Deutsch. I think she's a fantastic actress, and I can't wait to watch her grow even bigger than where she is right now. And she is awesome in this movie as Madison. She plays ditzy, but you can tell she's not. She it's kind of like one of those things where it's like she plays really dumb, but you're not quite sure if it's just a game or if she really is that stupid. Because there are times in the film where she comes off a little more clever than you think, but they never actually fully develop into it on whether or not she's playing a game or if she just has her moments. We also get introduced to Nevada, played by Rosario Dawson. We also get introduced to Albuquerque, played by Luke Wilson, and Thomas Middleditch, who plays Flagstaff, which are basically supposed to be the mirror images of Tallahassee and Columbus. All are great in their roles, especially when Tallahassee and Columbus meet Flagstaff and Albuquerque. That is probably one of the highlights of the film is their interactions together. That whole sequence. I'm not gonna say where they're at for that film or in the film, but that whole sequence was probably my favorite part of the movie. Those interactions I thought were great. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the stuff that worked in Zombieland 1 is here in Zombieland 2, and it works 100% of the time. And I mean, basically, let's put it this way: if you're a fan of Zombieland, you're going to like this movie. But yeah, I mean, I can't really go too much further into it without going spoiler. But yeah, so that's what really works with Zombieland Double Tap. Now, what does not work with Zombieland Double Tap, if you're a fan of Little Rock, played by Abigail Breslin, she is definitely in it the least. She kind of runs off with Berkeley, played by Avon Jogia. I'm butchering that name. Jogia, whatever. But she kind of runs off with him. Yes, she has her scenes with him, but just whenever their scenes are on, the movie's just kind of stalling. So anyone who's fans of Little Rock, enjoy her while you can when she's with the group. Because when she's on her own, the movie just does not... It's not that it doesn't work, it's just not fun to watch. And Emma Stone, she is... she's still that sassy, quick talker like she was in the first film, but she doesn't quite have the 1-2 punch that she did in the first film as well. Like, in terms of performances, this is definitely more of Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg's film. They definitely get the meat of the story. Not saying that Emma Stone calls it in or Emma Stone's not good in this, because she is great, but if we're comparing the films, I would say Abigail Breslin and Emma Stone's performances in the original Zombieland are a lot stronger than in Zombieland Double Tap, whereas Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson probably have more of a stronger performance in Double Tap than they did in the original Zombieland. All still great, but if we're going apples to oranges, it's definitely the guys who outshine the women in this version of the film, whereas in the first one, Little Rock and Wichita were definitely the highlights of the film. Woody Harrelson's still fantastic, and Jesse Eisenberg, this is the first time I've liked Jesse Eisenberg in a while, probably since the last Zombieland film. But yeah, they're all still great. It's just that, like I said, Emma Stone, when she's interacting with Columbus and Madison, it's pretty funny. When she's not interacting with that combination and it's just her and Columbus, or her and just Tallahassee, it's just not as strong as it was in the previous film. Still good, just not as strong. So Like I said, the Little Rock storyline, not that strong. Whenever she is on screen without the group, it's just not that. I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's just kind of like, all right, let's get through this and let's get back to, Tallahassee, Wichita, Columbus, and Madison. So yeah, so I mean, if I have to look at negatives, that's it right there. And because of that, it can drag a little bit of moments. Very few moments, but there are moments where it can drag, and that's just because her storyline's just not that fun or exciting in any means. It's just a typical teenage girl or young woman, because she is 21 in this, following a hippie stoner guy, and yeah, it's just rather dull and boring. But yeah, that's what does not work with Zombieland Double Tap. So I mean, going to overall thoughts on it, I still enjoyed this movie. It's one of my favorites of the year. It's not going to be in my top 5 or top 10 by any means in terms of a film overall, but it is definitely probably outside of Good Boys. It's probably like my favorite comedy of the year. Like I said, if you're a fan of Zombieland, you love the first film, you're gonna love this film. It definitely breaks the curse of the comedy, the 10-year plus comedy sequel. I enjoyed this quite a lot. The people that I was with, they enjoyed it quite a bit as well, and they hadn't even seen the first Zombieland, which I was really upset when I found out they hadn't seen it. But yeah, they were still able to follow it and enjoy it throughout, which bodes really well for the film in general, and it definitely has got that rewatchable factor. So I highly recommend checking out Zombieland Double Tap if you're a fan of Zombieland or like zombie films in general. If you're not a zombie fan, if you're not a fan of gore, or weren't a fan of the first Zombieland, then no, don't watch this film, because it's not going to be up your alley. But anyone who's loved the original film, go out of your way to see Zombieland Double Tap. You will not be disappointed. And also, do not leave when the movie ends. There is a fantastic mid-credit scene. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil that for you, because it was great. For people who are fans of this thing, and that's all I'm going to say, you're going to love it, and I'm a huge fan of it, so I loved this mid-credit scene. It's probably one of my favorite mid-credit scenes of the year, of all time, actually. But yeah, so definitely do not leave when the credits start to roll. Now, albeit, though, in the first 30 seconds of the credits, they go right into the mid-credits, so unless you're bolting out of the theater, you will see the mid-credits start before you leave, but just don't leave. It's at least a 3 to 5 minute mid-credit scene, so I would just stay in your seat and enjoy sitting down, and don't be standing in the stairs or in the aisle, because it's a longer mid-credit scene. But yeah, going to the score for Zombieland Double Tap, based off of I think I gave Zombieland a 9 out of 10 or something like that when the first one came out. So like I said, comparing to the two, while I enjoyed both films, I think Zombieland 1 is a stronger film overall, so I'm going to give Zombieland Double Tap an 8.2 out of 10, which is still a really great score. Like I said, I enjoyed the film quite a bit. Lots of humor, lots of gore, lots of fun, great chemistry between the core four, plus great new additions with Zoe Deutsch, Rosario Dawson, Luke Wilson, Tom Middleditch. But yeah, it's just that, like I said, there were certain parts in it that dragged a little bit, and it just wasn't as strong as the first film, but it was still a very enjoyable film overall, so that's why it gets the 8.2 out of 10. Because of that, it does not crack into the top 10 movies of 2019 so far, so the list is going to remain the same, with Toy Story 4 at number 1, Avengers Endgame at number 2, Joker at number 3, Peanut Butter Falcon at number 4, Rocket Man at number 5, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie at number 6, Spider-Man Far From Home at 7, Booksmart at 8, 9 is Us, with John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum at number 10, with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just outside of the top 10. Next week, there's not really any films coming out, per se, that interest me, or at least in my area, probably not going to get released. I know on my last review, I said there was 5 movies that came out this week alone. I really did not care to see Maleficent, so I didn't go see it. Jay and Silent Bob reboot, it just wasn't in my area. Same thing goes with Jojo Rabbit and The Lighthouse. As soon as they become available in my area, I will definitely see them and review them for you and put it on the channel. But coming next week, there's not really a whole lot going on, but in 2 weeks, we do get Terminator Dark Fate. I think it's called Terminator Dark Fate. So, and I definitely will be checking that out. So be on the lookout for that review. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you guys felt like this review is worth sharing, go ahead and hit that share button. But most importantly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to the channel so that way you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos that pop up on Sean's Movie Crusades. And of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. And until next time, in case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.